Perhaps if I had opened the door then, I would not have been able to write this story for you. I've always prided myself on being prepared. Living in a small mountain town in Colorado, you have to be prepared. Snowstorms are just a part of life here. We've had blizzards that knocked out the power for days, and storms that buried cars under 6 feet of snow. These are not unusual, and over the years I have developed a routine to deal with them. But last winter, something happened during a storm that made me realize that there are some things you just can't prepare for. It was early January, and the forecast warned of a severe snowstorm that was coming our way. They called it a once-in-a-decade event. At noon, the first snowfall began, and at 3 p.m., it was already covering the valley heavily. The wind howled in the valley, rattling the windows and piling snow into drifts as high as my porch railing. Knowing I would be stuck for a while, I made sure I had everything I needed: firewood, water, food, and a fully charged phone. My closest neighbor, an elderly man named Frank, who lived about a quarter-mile down the road, called to check on me and promised to do the same the next day. When night fell, it seemed like the world had disappeared. The snow was falling so thick that when I turned on the porch light, all I could see was a white wall. I settled in for the night, thinking I would wake up in a winter wonderland and spend the next day shoveling my driveway. But around 10 p.m., as I was getting ready for bed, I heard it. At first I thought it was the wind, a low, distant rumble. But it got louder, closer, until it became clear that it was not the wind at all. It was like the sound of an engine, a car engine to be precise. It struck me as strange because there isn't much traffic on my road even in good weather, let alone in a blizzard like this. Out of curiosity, I looked out the front window, squinting to see the snow swirling in the air. It was then that I saw the faint light of headlights cutting through the blizzard. The vehicle slowed down as it approached my house, its headlights casting eerie shadows on the snowdrifts. It was an old truck, the kind you might expect to see on a farm. The engine was quiet for a moment, and then the headlights turned off. My heart began to race. Who could be out here in this weather? And why did they stop? I waited, watching from behind the curtain, expecting someone to get out. But no one got out. The truck just stood there, its dark silhouette barely visible. After what seemed like an eternity, the engine roared to life again, and the truck slowly backed up, disappearing into the storm. I would be lying if I said I wasn't nervous, but I convinced myself that it was nothing. Maybe someone took a wrong turn or checked the road conditions. Still, I made sure all the doors were locked before going to bed. The next morning, the storm finally subsided, leaving behind a pristine, snow-covered landscape. I almost forgot about the truck until I went outside to shovel the snow. That's when I saw the tire tracks. They led straight to my driveway and then wound back to the road. But what really caught my attention were the footprints. There were 2 sets of them. One led from the truck to my porch. The other led back to the truck. My stomach dropped. Someone was at my door last night. I checked the porch, but there was nothing there. Not a note, not a package. Nothing that could explain why someone was standing outside my house in the middle of a snowstorm. All of this was bothering me, so I decided to call Frank and see if he had noticed anything unusual. But when I tried, the line was dead. Then I tried to call my cell phone, but there was no service there either. The storm must have knocked out the lines. Unable to call for help and feeling increasingly anxious, I decided to go to my closest neighbor Frank's house to check on him. The snow was waist-deep in places, and it took me almost an hour to walk the short distance. When I finally got there, I saw that his driveway was pristine, and there was no smoke coming from the chimney. I knocked on the door, but no one answered. Looking through the window, I saw that his living room was dark and the fireplace was cold and empty. Then I noticed the footprints. Just like the ones outside my house, there were tire tracks in the snow leading to Frank's driveway. And footprints. They led from the truck to Frank's front door, and then back. But there were no tracks leading away from the house. As I was about to turn back, I saw something partially buried in the snow at the edge of the driveway. It was Frank's hat, the one he always wore. I was in a panic. I shouted his name, hoping he would somehow hear me, but the only response was the wind. I didn't know what to do. The snow was too deep to search for him, and without a phone connection, I couldn't call anyone for help. Feeling helpless, I hurried home, constantly looking over my shoulder. That night I hardly slept at all. Every sound made my heart race, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. At one point, I thought I heard the faint rumble of an engine again, but when I looked outside, the road was empty. The next morning, there was still no electricity, and the phone lines were still down. I decided I couldn't stay there any longer. I packed my bag, tied up my belongings, and started the long journey to the city. About halfway there, I saw something that stopped me in my tracks. On the side of the road, partially buried in the snow, was a trail of footprints. They were not mine. They led to the forest, and next to them was something shiny. I brushed the snow away and found a keychain with a small tag that said Frank on it. I didn't follow the trail. I couldn't bring myself to. Instead, I kept walking, faster now, until I finally reached the city. I told the authorities everything, but by the time they searched Frank's property and the surrounding forests, the tracks were long gone, erased by another storm. Frank was never found. To this day, I don't know who was in that truck or what they wanted. All I know is that something terrible happened during that storm, and I will never forget the footprints in the snow. Never get out of the car during a snowstorm if you run out of fuel. I'm not one to usually vent on the internet, but the events of last weekend have been replaying in my head non-stop, and I need to get this out. Maybe you've been through something similar, or maybe you'll think I'm just plain unlucky. Either way, here's what happened. It started when I decided to visit my parents in upstate New York. They'd been asking me to come for weeks, and since I had a rare long weekend, I figured I'd make the drive. The forecast warned of snow, but I figured I could handle it. After all, I've driven through winter storms before. How bad could it really be? The first 2 hours of the drive were uneventful. I had my coffee, a podcast playing, and the roads were clear. But about an hour out from my parents' house, the snow started coming down hard. It wasn't just a light dusting. It was the kind of snow that makes your wipers work overtime and visibility drop to near zero. Still, I pressed on. I was only 45 minutes away by then, and turning back didn't seem like an option. But then I noticed something that made my stomach drop. The gas gauge was lower than I'd realized. I'd planned to fill up in the next town, but with the snowstorm slowing everything down, I wasn't sure I'd make it. I turned off the heat to conserve gas, which immediately made the car feel like a freezer. My hands were starting to ache from the cold steering wheel, but I tried to stay calm. Then, just as I was convincing myself I could make it, the car started sputtering, and then it died. There I was, on a desolate road in the middle of a snowstorm, with no gas and no idea what to do. My phone had 1 bar of service, just enough to pull up the map. The nearest gas station was about 4 miles away. I sat there for a minute, hoping maybe another car would come by. But the road was eerily empty. After about 10 minutes of waiting, I realized I didn't have a choice. I put on every layer I had: a hoodie, a jacket, a scarf, gloves, and a hat, and started walking. The wind was brutal. It felt like needles against my face, and the snow was piling up fast. Every step was a struggle, and I kept thinking about all those survival shows where they warn you about hypothermia. I tried to focus on the rhythm of my steps, counting each one to keep myself distracted from how cold and tired I was. About halfway to the gas station, I saw headlights approaching. My heart leapt. I waved my arms frantically, and the car slowed to a stop. The driver rolled down the window, and a middle-aged man in a parka asked if I needed help. I explained my situation, and he offered to drive me to the gas station. At first, I was relieved, but as soon as I got into his car, something felt off. He was friendly enough, but he kept asking strange questions. Was I traveling alone? Did anyone know I was out here? Where exactly was my car? His tone was casual, but the questions made me uneasy. I lied and said my parents knew exactly where I was and were expecting me soon. He nodded, but didn't say much after that. When we reached the gas station, I practically jumped out of the car. I thanked him and went inside to buy a gas can. The clerk gave me a look that said, "Are you seriously out in this weather?" but didn't say anything. I filled the can and headed back to the stranger's car, hoping he'd take me straight back to mine. But instead of turning back the way we came, he took a different route. I pointed this out, and he said it was a shortcut. My gut told me something wasn't right, but I didn't want to accuse him of anything. Still, I kept my hand on the door handle, ready to bolt if needed. The shortcut turned out to be a dead-end road that led to an abandoned lot. He stopped the car and turned to me, smiling in a way that made my blood run cold. "You know," he said, "I don't think you're being entirely honest about someone knowing where you are." My mind raced. I knew I had to act fast. I grabbed the gas can and said something about needing to check if it was leaking. As soon as I stepped out of the car, I slammed the door shut and ran. I didn't look back to see if he was following me. I just ran as fast as I could, clutching the gas can like my life depended on it. I eventually found a main road and flagged down another car. This time it was a young couple who immediately called the police when I told them what happened. They drove me back to my car, and I filled up the tank as quickly as I could. The police later told me they'd found the man's car abandoned in the lot, but hadn't located him yet. They said I was lucky to have gotten away when I did. I made it to my parents' house hours later than planned, exhausted and shaken. I haven't been able to stop thinking about how differently things could have gone. I keep replaying every decision I made, wondering if there was a way to avoid the whole ordeal. So yeah, that was my snowstorm nightmare. If there's a lesson here, it's to always check your gas tank before a long drive and trust your instincts when something feels off. Stay safe out there, folks. If there is a knock on your door during a snowstorm, never open it. Hi, everyone. My name's Jake, I'm 32, and I live in the middle of nowhere in northern Wisconsin. I moved out here a couple of years ago for the peace and quiet, thinking it would be the perfect antidote to city life. Normally it is. But last week, during a freak snowstorm, I had an experience that's been haunting me ever since. I'm hoping sharing it here will help me make sense of it. It was Thursday evening, and the storm had been raging all day. The kind of storm where the snow comes down so thick you can barely see past your own driveway. I was working from home, thankful I didn't have to brave the roads. By nightfall, the wind was howling like a living thing, rattling the windows and making the whole house feel like it was under siege. I figured I'd make the best of it, so I threw together some chili, poured myself a whiskey, and settled in for a quiet evening. Around 9 p.m., just as I was about to start a movie, I heard it, a loud, deliberate knock on my front door. 3 sharp raps. I froze. Who the hell would be out in this weather? My nearest neighbor is over a mile away, and I hadn't seen another human being all day. I grabbed my phone and headed to the door, my heart pounding. Peering through the peephole, I didn't see anyone. just the swirling snow illuminated by the porch light. I waited a moment, then cautiously opened the door a crack. The icy wind hit me like a slap, but there was no one there, just fresh footprints leading away from the house and vanishing into the storm. I stood there for a moment staring at those tracks before quickly shutting the door and locking it. My mind raced with possibilities. Maybe someone's car broke down and they were looking for help. But why wouldn't they wait for me to answer? And where had they gone? Something about it felt off. An hour later, as I was trying to convince myself it was nothing, I heard it again. This time, the knock came from the back door. My stomach dropped. I grabbed the flashlight from the kitchen drawer and turned off all the lights, hoping to stay out of sight. I crept to the back door and looked out. Same thing. Nothing but snow and wind. But just like before, there were footprints. These ones circled the house and stopped right at the back door. My hands were shaking as I double-checked the locks. Whoever this was, they weren't lost, and they weren't looking for help. They were toying with me. The next few hours were a blur of fear and tension. The knocks kept coming, each one from a different door or window. At one point, I thought I heard faint laughter carried on the wind. Every time I checked, there was no one there, just more footprints weaving around the house. I called the local sheriff's office, but with the storm, they said it could be hours before anyone could make it out here. Their advice? Stay inside, keep the doors locked, and don't engage. Easy for them to say. Around midnight, the knocks stopped. I stayed awake, clutching the baseball bat I'd grabbed from the garage, flinching at every creak and gust of wind. When the first light of dawn broke, I finally worked up the nerve to step outside. The storm had eased, and the world was blanketed in a pristine layer of snow. But as I walked around the house, my unease deepened. The footprints were everywhere, circling the house multiple times. They led to every door, every window, and then they stopped. There were no tracks leading away from the house. I don't know how to explain it. Whoever had been out there had vanished without a trace. I spent the day pacing, trying to piece it together, but nothing made sense. That evening, I installed extra locks on all the doors and windows, and I haven't slept properly since. Part of me wants to believe it was just some twisted prank, maybe local kids messing with the reclusive guy in the woods. But another part of me can't shake the feeling that it was something else, something worse. Every time the wind picks up now, I find myself holding my breath, waiting for that knock to come again. If anyone's experienced anything like this, or has any idea what might have been going on, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out how to feel safe in my own home again. If you like these stories, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell to listen to new stories from Mr. Fear every day. Thank you for watching.